Hey, what's up, you guys? So this is the Goddess of War character breakdown or Wonder Woman breakdown, the revamped version post-patch. There wasn't a recent patch; it's just like since the most recent one. So the other videos, I do apologize again for the length of them if they were too long. But this segment is going to hopefully not be as long, but it's going to cover like the trait, her trait, and all the specials all in one. And I switched characters, as you may have noticed. I'm not using Wonder Woman versus Wonder Woman. I'm using Fate just because I feel like this is one of the better things to use it for, for example purposes. So I'm just gonna go down the list, and I'm gonna cover the shields after. So, yeah. So Lasso of Truth, really good. As you can see, all the space that it covers, it's really good for contesting this kind of space. It is a high, so they can just duck it, but like what I was covering before, that's where you make use of the back two. So you condition them to keep on holding back, because you cannot block overheads by crouching. You have to hold back, like in a back to block game. So because they're holding back, that's what forces them to block highs. So like that's that benefit for it. That's like that bit of a mind game. Just block always. Now the benefit for it is that, like what I was mentioning in the other videos and with this, like more in depth, is that it is like negative. It's like -8, right? -8, -7. It does get a little safer with distance. Like the lasso itself does get safer, and it pretty much is safe at this range because of all the travel time. Like nothing is gonna travel here in 6 frames except Flash's super, and I think even with that, it's still safe because of the distance. So it's like, as you can see, all this range that it covers, so it's really good for contesting this kind of space. And this is where you want to throw it out, just because you don't want it whiffing in their face and then you get punished for it. Because like, look. Let's say I just do that, I'm over here. Oh, I don't even know what his specials are. Oh, that's what it is. See, like he can do all of that. Clearly I don't use them, but yeah. So that's mainly why you don't want to be whiffing stuff out like all the way over there. And this is why you want to be aware of your matchups. See? Like you want to do it right at the tip so that they can't punish you. As you can see. So those are really good because of like its anti-air properties a bit. See? Like look at how it's snagging me as I'm jumping. Okay, but that's that. Let me go back to being player 1. Put jump forward. As you can see, just trying to give you an idea of like the spacing for it. So it's just, it catches movement, and that's really what it's good for. And then also going a little forward with this, like jumping a little bit ahead. But as you can see, you can build meter with this too. Like if you're just trying to play a turtling game, you can just keep on doing this just to build your bar. Because it has recovery, yes, but it's really not that much. Because as soon as like she's able to move, like the lasso comes back, that's it. Like you're good. Like you don't have to worry about like ground time and air time, because like let's say you're whiffing air shields. One, she's completely vulnerable in the air, and then you still have to wait until you land before you're safe. Whereas with this, you're already grounded. All you have to do is just hit down or back. That's it. You know. Like you don't have to do anything extra or take into account anything extra if you're just using it to build meter. And that's really that. Like with the lasso grab. It's one of your combo enders, like what I was mentioning before. You have to do like 1-1-3, or you have the lasso itself. Because like it does its good little burst damage, and you can always meter burn it for that additional damage too. And you get slightly more advantage when you meter burn it, as you can see. So it's like, let's say I do this, I'm trying to dash up. As you can see, in the middle of my dash, he's already up.
You are not worthy.
Whereas with this, I get to complete a dash, and then he starts getting up. Obviously, the frames are a little bit different because they're not like, like doing a wake up itself, but it's just to show that. And that's really the lasso grab itself. That's all that it is. When it comes to her bracelets, these have that interesting property in a sense that it doesn't behave like a normal parry, where it's like it kind of just like absorbs the attack and then does a counter attack right back. It's more of like it's really just like a shield. That's kind of how you gotta think about it. I mean, it technically falls under a parry, but it works more so like a shield, like a temporary shield. It's 5 frames, so it is a little useless in the sense of the startup of it, because most gaps in the game, like a lot of the gaps are 4 frames. So it's like you can't even parry the gap anyways. Batman can parry numerous gaps because his parry is 4 frames, but you know, it doesn't leave too much room for this. But it's really good for, you know, like slower meter burn back 3s and forward 3s, or just forward 3s and back 3s in general. Like you can parry on reactions and punish them. And as you can see, it doesn't build you too much meter. I think it might be the same as doing the lasso, but as you can see, I'm holding up. You do have a good chunk of recovery for doing this. But then I guess like the little benefit for this is that as soon as the bracelets are out, until she puts her arm down, that parry window is open. So even if they didn't throw something out right away, if they suddenly do it and the bracelets are still up, it'll still register the parry. And it's just, again, it works like a shield. Like you don't take the damage for whatever it is that's getting thrown at you. And what am I doing? And you recover faster, because look, you remember how I do the parry, I'm jumping up, it takes too long. As you can see, she recovers instantly as soon as she gets the parry done. And you do get a little bit of a damage boost for it. As you can see, it didn't last that long, the damage boost itself, but it is there. In most cases, you're only going to get a down 1 punish for it. Just because you are recovering faster, so you are altering frame data a little bit. But you're not altering it enough that you kind of just stun them and then you get to do whatever you want. Because you're not stunning them, you're just absorbing the hits and then moving afterwards. And that's really that. Like, there's no meter burn, you know, option for it. It's not all that practical depending on certain situations, because it's like it blocks or it parries highs, mids, overheads, but not all of them, because some hits that register like that, you know, the parry, it won't parry, but it does parry projectiles. It's also a very good reversal, depending on what people are doing or with certain zoning, and that's kind of why I brought up Fate. What was this? So if he does that, this is also mentioning the down 3. You can use this to just evade his zoning if you want. Well, I messed that up a little bit, but it's like you see it coming, right? And you can just keep on doing this. I messed that up, but you have that. But it's good in the sense of reversaling, because as you can see, with this specific zoning, you can reversal in between every single hit. So you can do that. You can parry the first hit, block the second, reversal the last one. So you take only 1 orb as chip instead of taking all of this. You can actually parry all 3. I don't know if I can. No, I can't. Let me see. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna try it. Oh, okay, I got it. But yeah. So it's really good just, you know, like for stuff like that. It's just a really good reversal for specific situations. But that's really the only utility that you have for it. Like, just because a character can zone, it doesn't mean that she can parry it. Or reliably parry it. Like with Harley zoning, for example, you can parry the gunshots, but unless you're reading them, they're too quick to react to. Same with her air shots. You can parry the air shots, but they're too fast. You're not always going to get it. You know, it has to be on a read. Same with the cupcakes. Like if she does the cupcakes way too close to you, or you're blocking the hyena, you know, or vice versa. You get hit by the cupcakes, and then there's a hyena coming. You're not going to be able to parry both. It's either one or the other. Like, it doesn't, just because you have the parry doesn't mean that you're always going to be able to use it. So it's just, you know, to keep that in mind, knowing when it's more or less guaranteed that you can do it. And that's why I showed this, just because it is guaranteed, doing the reversal in between the fireballs. Miscellaneous note though, you cannot do it, you cannot do this when he has trait activated. You can't reversal it. You're literally just forced to eat the chip from the trait, or just sweep underneath them. But you can't do anything about it. So it's just, you know, to keep that in mind. What's next? I think that's it. Yeah, now it's just the bashes. So I'm pretty sure everybody has seen me do it, anybody that watches my videos, or like any Wonder Woman in general. You can use her Amalthea Bash as a means of movement, just because, as you can see, she recovers fairly quickly. Like, for what it does, look, like, she does the bash. It doesn't have too much recovery, but throughout that entire time, you cannot block that she is moving, so that's why you want to be careful as to when it is that you're throwing this out. So the real simplified version, it is 8 frame startup, but it does have travel time. So just because it's 8 frame startup does not mean that this is making contact in 8 frames if it's all the way over here. So, you know, just keep that in mind. Travel time exists. You know, startup is not the same as frame of impact. Just because it's like a lot of people tend to misinterpret everything, like, oh my god, it's 8 frames, like anything that you do that's -8 or -9 is always going to get punished. It's like, no, that's not the case. So you have that. As you can see, the distance that it covers only goes up to there. If you meter burn it, it travels a little further, or actually a lot further, and you are plus afterwards on the meter burn. He can't do a reversal, but if you do the bash like from around here, you're punishable on block. The frame data is actually correct. The move is -16 point blank, so that's why you don't want to throw it out there. It becomes less negative the further away you are. If you do that little light tap like that, she's safe. She's only like -4, -3, give or take, whenever she does like that little tap just like that. So you do have to know your spacing and be aware of your spacing. And be aware of it too, just because, as you can see, I know this distance. That's why I'm intentionally making it whiff. You don't want to have it whiff in their face if they know the matchup. Because as you can see, sure, it doesn't make contact, but there is that little period where I'm still forced to not block. Like, I'm still in recovery. And as you can see, I still do shift them a little bit, even though she's not making any contact. Like, you can see that little movement. So her active frames doing that move, it's already cut from here already. So if they know the matchup, you don't want to just be doing this like right in their face, because you're going to get punished for it. So it's just knowing the ranges where you're going to end like right around over here, just because most characters are not going to be able to punish you at this distance. So you want it to either make contact so that you're safe, and or you can meter burn it, or whiff it so that you're not in a range that you're going to get full, you know, punished for it on whiff or whatever. So that's the general sense of it when it comes to like movement. It's a really good reversal, and that's also why I brought Fate. Especially like in the up close game, like when it comes to like counter pressure, like every Fate does this. You can't punish this, more or less. Most characters can't punish this. And it's kind of the same thing, like even if he meter burns it, it's safer, but he's not, you know, he's not neutral, he's not plus. Let me do... Every Fate does that, right? That's just genuine pressure in general. You know, Superman has similar pressure, forward to 3 breath, forward to 3. Just, it's pressure like this in general, that this is where you make use of the bash. Because it behaves like a check. So, I'll show you something right now. Let me wait for him to finish. As you can see, she has a 6 frame poke, right? But it's not reaching. There's a gap here, but you can't do anything about the gap. You're just forced to take it. You can backdash, maybe. Let me see if I can. But you see, you can still get hit because it's so active. and you can't even meter burn it, the best that you can do is just like super if you have the bar. But the reason why I'm showing this is that this is the other utility, is counter poking or checking, using the bash like a check and like a counter poke. Because he can't be punished for doing that. For doing this. Look, I'm still holding down. He can't be punished. Right? Sure, he can't be punished, but he cannot do anything afterwards either if I have meter and I, you know, and I commit to this, I do a reversal. No, you can't meter burn back 3. That's what I tried doing before, it didn't work. So you see reversal, it comes up. So the benefit of this is that if they try to armor, it's gonna break the armor. If they try to mash into another move, they're not respecting their frames. As you see right there. See, he's not respecting his frames, so he's gonna get hit out. If they try to backdash, they're gonna get hit. Like if they're trying to move away. As you can see. And if they try to jump too. Oh well, if they neutral jump, then they can escape it. But let's say they try to jump back. Oh, but I mean, at least you're still safe. It's just this specific move. Just because if he does the meterless version, he's more negative, so he doesn't have all these options, as you can see. So that's how you use this. It's like anything that's negative, you can more or less bank on using the meter burn bash to basically like reset neutral all the time. Because as soon as she's done from doing all this, she's plus now. So it's like, it may not be her turn, depending on the matchup, but she resets this space. She gets to move first, and she just did the same, if not more, chip right back to them. So that's one of the biggest things that you use this for too. And that's also why you want to always manage your meter. You always want to have at least 2 bars with her all the time, just so that you force them to, you know, to respect you. And when you condition them enough that they do that, that's what lets you take your turn back altogether. Like let's say he does that and you have a habit of always doing the reversal bash, you know, to force respect. Let's say he just starts walking back because he knows that it's coming. That's what lets you jump in and start your own pressure all over again, because you're conditioning them. It's like, I have this option to reset neutral, so you're gonna respect that, you know, you are negative. So that's what lets you, you know, do this, or if you want to reset some space again, you can use that. So it's just like, it's a conditioning game. That's really what stems off of it. And that's basically the other big perk for it. On top of it being a reversal, like anything that you can't punish with this, and you use this to punish. Certain moves can only be punished with the bash itself anyways. Like Firestorm's Torpedo, she can only punish it with the bash. It's very distance specific. Sometimes she can use the lasso to punish it, but really it's only just the bash. Like all her normals, they won't reach. But you know, you take what you can. So you use it for that. And then also just like for BMBs, you know, like you can do that. Whatever. Well, I used the up bash. I didn't use the regular bash. And that's really the main utility for it. That covers that. And then jumping into the up bash is the same thing. It's the same shield, same version of the attack really, but upwards. And you do have the option to meter burn it on hit, on block, and on whiff. Same with the regular bash. Only thing is, you're not plus off of this. You're going from mid into an overhead. That's the only thing that changes with it. Oh, I don't have the info on. Here's the... Okay. So you can see it turns into an overhead. And it is unsafe in certain matchups, even when it's blocked. Because technically this thing is like -8 or -10. But there is some pushback for it. Where's this thing? You see that pushback that it causes? Sometimes it creates a little bit more, depending on how it hits and how they're blocking. As you can see, there's even more distance than there was before, so it makes it relatively safe if a character doesn't have a move that's going to reach all the way over there in a couple of frames. So it's good in a sense of like for the wake up game, because it's your invincible wake up, and you know, you can meter burn it and you're more or less safe. But that's really the only time that you're going to use it. Some people try to use it, they try to implement it as like an anti-air, which you can do, but it's really not that practical. Even this kind of conversion is not that practical. As you can see, it doesn't always connect, it's not always going to make contact. It's just very, very impractical. So it's like you really only use it just for the wake up game and for your corner combos, because this does have use in a corner. As you saw before, you can do that. If I can even land this. And do that way. There's also like different variations of this, what I was doing before. You can do that, you can do those two regular shield bashes instead of the up one. But yeah, that's it. Sometimes you are able to... okay, so what I'm trying to get at. As you can see in the corner, you are able to use this mid combo, right? Even if you do it on its own, you get nothing, but you are able to do this mid combo and keep on going afterwards. If you were to try to do this, like mid screen, let's say just off of down 2, literally nothing is going to connect except maybe the bash. That's it, right? That's all that connects. There are moments where it doesn't really matter where this happens, mid screen or the corner. There are moments where you can hit them, like when they land right on top of you like that. And as you can see, she recovers a little bit faster. So this is one thing that you do want to practice and try to lab, is understanding that gravity and knowing how to convert off of it. It's like, look, if I'm hitting them up like that, this normally happens when they're trying to jump over her on her wake up. Like they knock her down and then they're trying to jump over and then they get hit by that. This is normally where that happens. So it's just knowing how to convert off of it and knowing if something is even going to reach or not. And if just practice the conversions. As you can see, I just did all that damage. I mean, I didn't have to. But yeah, you can do that. If there's like a background interactable, let me actually make it go mid-screen again. You can use that. You can convert off of it that way. So it's just, you know, like these little things just to keep in mind. But outside of that, like outside of the wake up game and outside of corner combos, you're really never going to use this move for anything. And that's really that. So now finally going into the shield.